This is Let's Talk Business with your host, Marc Ebinger. Now, here's Marc.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Business podcast. Coming up on the show today, we're going to talk about some of the differences between franchises and independent businesses. In studio with us today is Stacy Swift, a franchise consultant with Franchise Matchmakers. Stacy has over 30 years of experience as a franchise broker and consultant and has helped hundreds of people realize their dreams of business and entrepreneurship. One of my favorite topics. Stacy, welcome to the show. Excited to have you here.
Thanks, Mark. Happy to be here.
All right, I'm your host, Marc Ebinger, the CEO of Krukus Virtual Staffing, a company that recruits and staffs experienced overseas administrative assistants that speak fantastic English, by the way. Have you ever called those businesses and they have somebody, and it's like you can't quite understand what they're saying, and they can't quite understand what you're saying?
It's frustrating.
Super frustrating. That's something that we really focus on, is the ability to not only speak with a very little accent, but also understand the grammar well so we can communicate. Super important when you're dealing with overseas virtual assistants. I think they got kind of a bad rap in the first maybe 5 to 10 years that they've been doing this type of offshoring, and it's an area that we focus in, and it's not difficult to do. I just think people have to pay attention to it. Anyway, so if you're curious about the most common tasks that virtual assistants are doing for businesses, head over to our website at Krukus.com. That's Crukus.com, and grab a list of the top 20 tasks that virtual assistants are doing for businesses just like yours. Link is in the podcast description.
And I'm your co-host, Jenevy Sims with the Evolve Firm, where we help create branding strategies and solutions to help evolve and elevate your business. I am also part of Business Professionals of San Antonio. So we have an exciting event coming up.
Yeah, so where's it at, and what nonprofit are you guys sponsoring this time?
Yes, thanks, Mark. We're so excited. It's going to be on March 12th at Amelia Social Lounge, a beautiful area down at the Creamery. It's still a fairly new venue, and this month we are so excited because we're going to have Jacqueline and her team with the Yes Youth Entrepreneurship Services, and they're a great nonprofit. They're empowering youth, fostering the positive mindset and entrepreneurship skills, which is definitely right up our alley. So I encourage you, if you're listening, sign up at bpsaevents.com. $10 at the door goes directly to the nonprofit.
And how many people are typically at your events you guys are putting on?
Our events have been growing. We have over 150 or more. This is a great way to not only expand your network, but help a local nonprofit and a local venue. And you've been to our events before. There's so many valuable connections. We have people from all sorts of different industries coming together. And also, get to know this nonprofit. Jacqueline and her team are incredible. Desiree is also on the board.
I am. I actually they're one of my clients. So I did help found that nonprofit.
Yes, and the
Small
things
world.
that they're doing is just incredible. The stuff that we wish we learned when we started our business, they're learning from at the age of 12. They're starting at 12, right?
Yes, and they're actually right now in multiple schools here in San Antonio, Sunnybrook, a private school, and also Fox Tech, an SAISD school. So it's incredible, how they're infiltrating in the schools, getting into, the psyche of the kids, teaching them, how entrepreneurship is such an empowering avenue for them to go. So I love Youth Entrepreneurship Services. Jacqueline Hernandez, which is one of the founders, Jacqueline and Fatin Bazi are the founders of Youth Entrepreneurship Services. I really hope y'all get to go because they are incredible with wonderful programs, and BPSA is such a wonderful steward of the nonprofits here in San Antonio.
Yes, and then not only is there the donations at the door, but we have our gold sponsor, which is Mac Injury Attorneys, and he gives them that giant check of $500. So this is a great avenue if you're new in San Antonio, whether you're brand new in your networking journey or you're experienced in your season. This is how you build your network. This is how you build your business. Make those connections and the business will follow.
Yeah, it's all about building relationships here in the San Antonio area. All right, love it. Thanks. And Desiree, did you?
Yes. Hi, Desiree. Good morning, everyone. Desiree said I'm the Principal Success Strategist at Philanthropic and Public Relations, where we have an expertise in publicity and PR, high-profile event planning, but an expertise as the nonprofit guru. I'm also an editor at SA Monthly Magazine. Actually, we've just recruited Miss Jenevy as an editor as well in SA Monthly Magazine, San Antonio's #1 contemporary magazine. And again, I'm so happy that we work on, so there's so many nexus of things that we work on here in the community of San Antonio. Nonprofit, I love that all of us, Howie, Jenevy, all of Mark, we all have our hands somehow in philanthropy and charity in San Antonio giving back. I love this crew because that's part of their heart.
Yeah, this is a good group of folks. All right, quick reminder to follow the Let's Talk Business podcast on all major podcast platforms and social media where you can catch video version of the show. You can get to everything easily from our website at satalkradio.com. Now, we do have a mixer coming up on March 27th. It's going to be right here in San Antonio. It is our Let's Talk Business mega mixer. It's going to be a huge expo-style mixer. We're going to have about 20 vendor tables there, about 300 people on site to mix, mingle, and connect and do business together, which is fun. When I put this thing together, I've been to lots of mixers and stuff, and each of them has their own vibe, but I wanted one. I had a vision for what it was, and this works extremely well for people to connect with each other and do business. So if you're in the San Antonio area or are going to be in the San Antonio area on March 27th, you definitely need to stop by. It's from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Tickets are on sale now for just $20. It'll be $25 at the door. There's going to be some snacks there in case you come starving, but don't expect a 4-course meal. And there's going to be plenty of drinks. There's going to be margaritas and plenty of beer up there as well that is included with your tickets. Net proceeds from the event are going to be going to support multiple charities here in the San Antonio area. Howie Nestel is, of course, involved with, I think, all 3 of those in some form or fashion. Which means that I can actually trust that those are good nonprofits.
Yes.
He's somebody that vets things out very, very carefully, such as discovery camps for kids, right? For
That's
kids
an
with
amazing
cancer.
one.
They've been around like 40 years. You know what I mean? They're definitely a reputable nonprofit to support. So we're excited to do that. We are expected to sell out again, so get your tickets early. Don't wait till the last minute if you can help it. But I know it's San Antonio, the land of mañana.
Yep,
so
last minute
everybody kinda
market. We are classic. I can't tell you how many events that the week before I'm biting my fingernails, and then the day before you get the day before you fill up.
Yeah, we're already doing really good on ticket sales, but we've got a pretty good marketing campaign that's operating. But still, a lot of people are going to buy them last minute. Yeah. Now, a quick shout out to one of our sponsors. A shout out to the team at Texas Suits Corporate and Courtroom Lawyers for being a platinum sponsor for the upcoming event, the Let's Talk Business Mega Mixer on March 27th. Texas Suits is a full-service law firm offering innovative legal solutions tailored for both businesses and individual clients. Their practice area includes real estate and construction law, business and contract law, estate planning, family law, and business litigation. The firm prides itself on providing an exceptional service and results, which, by the way, I'm one of they're my law firm that I have on retainer for my business, and they do a fantastic job. Keaton Freeberg is a personal friend of mine, is one of the partners over there, and they are very customer-focused. So if you're looking for legal expertise tailored to your specific needs, visit Texas Suits Corporate and Courtroom Lawyers at txsuits.com or call them at 210-503-2800. We did one of these shout outs for you. Did you see it yet? It might be like in the mix, but there's a shout out for you that'll end up on social media. Keep an eye on.
Cool.
Well, TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram, any of those should show up. Well, Stacy, so tell me a little bit about your background, and I know you've got an extensive background in franchise, so you're a great guest to have on talking franchise and business. So, but give me a little bit about your background and how you ended up where you're at today.
Sure. Well, I've been a franchise broker consultant for just starting my 30th year, so it's been a while. I've also been I've owned multiple units with 3 franchise concepts myself, so I like to say I practice what I preach. Have also been an independent business owner. You know, before I got into franchising, I started a deli corporate catering business in Denver as a sole proprietor, and learned everything the hard way. You know, paid my visa with my MasterCard, no joke. And you know, I
of
really
an entrepreneur.
Exactly, learned everything the hard way, and then I actually built a good business with that. I was fortunate. When I sold it, just didn't want to do that again. And I discovered franchising and thought, you know what, I didn't know this way was out there, but it's a better way to have somebody holding your hand and not have to reinvent the wheel. it's still your business. But so I've been in franchising ever since.
What was your first franchise business that you owned? If you can
Fantastic
talk about it, I don't know what
Sam's
the rules.
Hair salons.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Were you
I didn't know what I didn't know.
okay? So apparently it was a big thing. I mean, it was like a.
I owned a couple
hard-
of stores in Denver. I'm from Colorado, but I owned a couple of stores in Denver, and it just I didn't do the right homework because I didn't have a broker at the time.
Uh-huh.
I just made this decision myself. It was my first foray into franchising. All I thought about was everybody gets their hair cut from the day they're born until the day they die. How could that be a bad business? One of the things I didn't take into consideration was the employees.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking as soon as you
Me
said that. I'm like,
too.
that's an employee thing.
Yeah, and the employee pool and how to get them, and it's unfortunately that's a fantastic business, and I agree it's still recession resistant and weather resistant, but you need to have a line on where you're going to get employees and where it's kind of a constant turnover.
Yeah,
So,
it's like that has to be part of the business
Yeah.
model is recruiting.
yep. So
You know,
that's-
one of the, of course, I'm in the virtual staffing business, right? So now, I mean, literally the whole world, if it can be done remotely, is a pool of candidates. And so I'm a bit spoiled because when we do a job posting, we'll get 300 on average applicants that come through. So my team is just geared towards that whole thing. But I have a team set up for the recruiting side of it for the business. Of course, that's our service. But yeah, that's when you said that, I'm like, oh, this is going to be an employee thing there because you don't really quite know that that's a whole headache in of itself.
Well, and in fairness, it was 30 years ago that I owned those, or nearly 30
I
years
think it would
ago.
be harder now.
So it may be. I mean, I have a colleague in Denver who owns some franchise hair salons, and there is still some of the same issue that it's just hard to. There's not as many people going to beauty school, I don't think, anymore. People are going, they're doing tech, high tech or more current career paths, I guess. And I think the cosmetology it's not attracting the same amount of people that it used to. So yeah, it's an issue.
Now, in a franchise like that, do they you probably let them know, okay, this is a licensing that's needed, but do y'all rent by the station? Are they employees, or how do those structures work?
The answer is yes. So in many of them, that you can have a choice.
Okay.
You might rent by the station, or you might be an hourly employee, or they might be a base salary plus commission on the cuts and different kind of things. So there's different ways to pay them.
So what's hot in the franchise industry right now?
Oh gosh, health and wellness, beauty, pets. Ever since COVID, there were more pets adopted during COVID than any other time in history, I think. So pet businesses have really grown. The service industry is one of my favorites. It remains solid, and that could be home services or business services, but home services in particular, where again, recession resistant, weather resistant. If your garbage disposal breaks, you're going to get it fixed. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. If your HVAC goes out, your air conditioning or heating, something, you're going to get it fixed. I call them dirty businesses. I love dirty businesses, where they're just maybe not sexy, glamorous businesses, but they're good, solid service businesses that have been around forever, and they're going to be around forever.
So if somebody was interested in starting a franchise and they don't know what to do, how does your services help them, and what does the start of that process look like?
It starts with a simple conversation. So we'll talk with people. I mean, people come to us who want their own business, but they don't know where to start. Maybe they've never been an entrepreneur before, never owned a business. Most of our clients, honestly, are coming out of corporate America. They've been downsized or laid off or made the decision themselves to get out and do something on their own, kind of take control. So we'll just, I want to have the conversation with them to make sure they understand, because even with a franchise, there's no guarantee. Mm-hmm. And owning a business, as you all know, is not easy. I mean, it takes hard work just like anything else. The franchise provides you the system, the structure, the model to follow, and the support, but it's up to you to execute. You still have to run your business.
What you didn't say was marketing. So, and
Well, that too.
well, there's going to be some marketing in there, but I think
Yeah.
if I had to project my own thought on what the answer would be to this question about what is the thing that people come to you with looking for franchise help because they want to buy this kind of a done-for-you, ready-for-you model that they can get into, but and you coach them, right? You're talking to them. It's like, I'm thinking that they don't understand the gravity of the marketing that they're personally going to have to do. The company isn't going to go sell all that stuff.
Absolutely right.
So is this a thing that comes up regularly with folks?
There's no build it and they will come. That was a movie. Doesn't happen in real life. The franchise company should provide you with what to do for marketing. Here's what works. Here's what we've proven works. But you need to do it in your own local market. Like they don't come in and whether it's social media or newspaper ads or whatever it might be for your particular type of business, they don't put that in place for you and pay for it. That's you as a business owner. That's your responsibility. Now they may coach you. Here are the methods that we've proven work best for this business. Now go do it in your local area. So I think that you're right. That's a huge misperception that people think you buy a franchise and you open the doors and all of a sudden the money just starts rolling in. It's like, well, no, you have to work your business.
When I was looking at maybe a UPS franchise, probably, I don't know, 20 years ago or something, but that's what I would have thought. I never talked to a broker, didn't even know about any of that kind of stuff, and I was just kind of kicking tires anyway, but that would have been good to know. Look, I was in civil service as a cop for 30 years, don't know anything about business, right? So it's like if you're in the military or you're in some kind of a job where you're working 9 to 5 and you realize, hey, I'd like to do a little bit more, maybe be my own boss, that kind of stuff, please reach out to a franchise consultant if you're going to do a franchise, because there's so much that you don't know. You don't even know what to ask. And I've been there.
Well, there's a full due diligence process, and that's what we walk them through. I mean, most of my clients, it's a 60 to 120 day process. You need to do your homework, and there's a lot of steps in that homework. And in the franchise industry, there's an overused phrase, but I think it describes it perfectly. It says you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. I mean, that describes a franchise perfectly, in my opinion. Well,
and you're getting equity when you come in because you're getting the brand, right? Yep. So you're getting something of value that people like, UPS store, again, is just because off the top of my head, but but you're getting that brand awareness already that people would know. So that helps. That helps build the trust factor pretty quick as you're out there. But you still have to market and market and market and market.
Yeah. And even with newer concepts that maybe don't have that kind of brand recognition yet, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, you typically own a territory. So if you buy a franchise in San Antonio, you're going to have a protected territory. So you're not looking to market to the entire metro San Antonio area. You just care about your little space. And that brand is easier to build in a smaller space faster, if that makes sense.
And that's where you'd focus on the benefits of franchising being the systems, processes, the support, right? Kind of that business know-how so you can get up and get going faster, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
So there's a lot of education value that you're bringing to them before they get started, right? Have you ever had any clients that came up to you and they started their franchise and then kind of halfway through they decided to do it on their own? Because we've had a couple guests that did that they started a franchise and realized, it wasn't for them. But what would your recommendation be for someone who's about to start a franchise so that you can make sure to ensure their success in that? I know there's no guarantee, but it's all about the mindset, right? Yep. If you go in there with expectations, then you're better prepared.
Right.
So what is your recommendation to those who are considering a franchise?
Well, I'm glad you asked or said education, because I think that's kind of how we bill ourselves, that we provide education. I don't sell franchises. I mean, I work with over 600 different companies, and I help match you to the right one that fits your skills, your goals, your interests, your financial capabilities, your lifestyle. But it's about education. Let me walk you through the process. And a franchise is not for everybody. So it's, I feel if you're a true entrepreneur, you're not going to make a good franchisee.
I'm so glad you said that.
I love
the idea.
We're going to have to underline
Can
that.
you imagine Elon Musk as a franchisee?
Oh my gosh.
No.
Because we tend to butt heads. It's like,
Right.
I want to do things my way, but
Yep.
the franchise is like, no. It's bigger than you, right?
Right.
It's this whole thing.
Yep.
You can't go tweaking. Don't go turning knobs and pushing buttons here.
You have some leeway. I mean, McDonald's, for instance, it's either, I think the Quarter Pounder, I think it was years ago. That was an idea from a franchisee.
What was it called before that?
Well, no, it wasn't called anything, but they just said, "Hey, we have an idea for this quarter-pound burger. Can we
'Cause
try
I like
it?"
the quarter pounder.
And McDonald's was like, "Sure, let's. That sounds interesting. Let's try it in your store." They tried it. It was very successful. Okay, let's roll it out to a few
But you
more
can't
stores.
just decide I'm going
You
to
need
start
permission.
serving chicken.
Right.
at,
No.
You know, chicken
No,
fingers
go
or
off
something.
the menu.
You would need permission, yeah. But you do have some. It's not black and white. Let's put it that way. So there's some gray area where they want input. The company wants to grow as well, and they want new things. They want new ideas. You just can't go rogue and go do it
Yeah,
on your
and
own.
I'm one of those entrepreneurs. I tend to shoot from the hip a little bit. So
You wouldn't be a good franchisee.
but that's good that you would have a chat with them ahead of time and just kind
Right.
of figure
And
out.
know,
Do you do
right.
like a personality test or anything like
Yeah.
that too?
Yeah.
Which one do you
nice.
use?
It's called Zoracle, but it's for NLP, neuro-linguistic programming.
Okay, sounds
I
fancy.
love that one.
Yeah.
But that's good that you do that.
Yeah.
I should do that to all my clients, right? I don't make them take a personality test, but we give it all the employees or all the applicants that are applying for the job, we give them a personality test because I do understand a little bit about that.
Well, and again, most of our clients have never owned a business before. So this is their first foray into this. So a franchise is a good fit for a lot of them because they do want that hand holding. It doesn't mean maybe they get into a franchise and either they like it or they don't like it, but they learn the ropes. If they sell it, move on to something else, they may do something on their own. They may go more entrepreneurial and do something on their own. But it's, again, it's a fit for a lot of people, but it's not a fit for everybody.
So they come in, you start having a conversation. They're obviously going to take a personality test at some point, but like I would think that talking to other franchise owners in that particular, like if they want to do some kind of drive-through for beverage service or something. I mean, I don't know. Is there a particular one we can use as an example that you would want to, that's popular right now? As we're talking, I can use it. If they want to get this, then they should go talk to other franchise owners of that same
That's
franchise.
part of the due diligence. So after the initial conversation, if we determine, hey, I want to work with you and you want to work with me, then I do have the confidential questionnaire that I'll send them. So once they send that back, then we go into the more detailed, I call it the business modeling meeting. So we'll sit down and I just hit them with a bunch of questions. Like, let's design the perfect business for Mark. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. There's no right or wrong answer. Sometimes your answer could be, doesn't matter. Let's talk about employees, hours, location. What do you like? What are you good at? What do you want to do on a daily basis? What are you not so good at? What do you not want to do on a daily basis? Can you manage people? Are you a good salesperson? Are you better at operations? We put together this whole model. You wake up tomorrow morning and you go to your new business. Where do you go? Do you go to a storefront? Do you go to an office location? Are you mobile? Like more flexibility? We put all that together, and then I will take that information, go back and find usually anywhere from 3 to 10 concepts that I think fit closely to what they're telling me. And then I'll do a presentation. I do a brand presentation to the client and walk through all those and say, okay, here's some things I think you should consider based on blah, blah, blah. This is what you told me. This is what they fit. And then we narrow it down. And then I'll introduce them to the franchise company to have that first introductory, more detailed call. I'm kind of high level, giving them kind of a broad overview. Let the franchise company representative give them more of the deep details. And then we just step by step, if they want to continue, they'll get the next call with the franchise company. And then that's where the validation, we call it, comes in, where they can call other franchise owners in the system. Hey, are you happy? Are you making money? If you had your money back, would you do this thing again? Are you getting the support you think you deserve for the money that you're paying back to the company? So that's all part of that process. It just comes a little bit later.
Now, I want to know your clients that are looking for franchise opportunities, how do they typically find you?
I have a big network in Colorado, since that's where I was from. I've only been in Texas for 2 years, but I still have a big referral network, so past clients or people who know about me and know what I've done.
I love referrals. I still think that they are such an incredible way to feed business. I mean,
agree.
referrals are a lot.
I work my database a lot.
Okay.
I have a good database, but I also do. We have social media, do local networking. I mean, things just like this, chambers of commerce. I love to do seminars, entrepreneurial seminars, just to educate people on, Franchise 101. There's so many misperceptions Everybody thinks they hear the word franchise and your mind immediately goes to fast food and French fries. And there's so much more, there's just a ton of different opportunities that people don't know about. So those are the I would say the most prominent ways.
I mean, hosting, I would think that would be incredibly successful, having like informational type of seminars there. Yeah.
We do webinars as well to highlight specific franchise concepts. So once a month, we'll highlight a different concept, and you can log into the webinar and learn about that particular business.
I would wonder too, like on LinkedIn, you can target people that are doing job changes or stuff like that.
That'd be a great avenue.
We're all over LinkedIn.
Yeah, I was going to say targeting that and setting stuff up there. And then of course we got military bases here, so I imagine doing, seminars there would be good. I've had a couple of them, I think, on the show where they're business brokers and they're helping people. They're like veterans and whatnot, and they help people. I would think do you ever network with other business brokers? Because it seems like that would be a good thing to network with.
Yeah, I actually met with somebody locally last week. So and we do. They are good to network with. So they occasionally get somebody who might be interested in a franchise. Typically, the investment is less if you start a new franchise. Whereas if you're buying an existing business, they sell for anywhere from 1 to 6 times multiple. So if somebody doesn't want to invest that amount of money, where you can buy cash flow, that's a good positive, but maybe they don't have that kind of money to invest and they'd rather start with something a little less, they might refer them to me as a franchise. Or if I get somebody who only wants an existing business with cash flow, I have a list of existing franchises, but that's limited. So a business broker who has independent businesses as well, absolutely, I refer to them.
Is there anything new in the IT space that is out? I mean, there's AI is a big thing now, but are there franchises in those areas that are hot right now?
I haven't heard of anything really in the IT or in the AI space, but in IT there are, and they're mostly off-site support or off-site managed services type of things. Of course, websites, social media. There are franchises for that. But the AI, I've not seen one yet. Doesn't mean they're not out there, but I don't know of one that's focused on AI. But I'm sure it's coming.
Oh, for sure.
It's coming. Well, who would you say is your ideal client?
Again, probably somebody who is in career transition, coming out of corporate America, whether the job left them or they've just decided, hey, I've been laid off 2 or 3 times. I'm not doing it again. I want change. I want to take control. But also people who are fully employed who are looking to build a secondary income. There are franchise opportunities that the word you'll hear in the industry is semi-absentee or semi-passive ownership. I don't like that. I like semi-involved because I want to set that mindset that you're not just going to invest your money in anything and have it work. You're still going to work it, but maybe 20 hours a week or less that you could put towards this business and keep a full-time job and sort of manage a manager, build the business on the side. That's become very popular in the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years. So there are a lot of opportunities that have that model. And maybe somebody just wants to start a business on the side, keep their current salary and benefits, and then as the business grows, then transition into it.
What's the leanest startup that you've worked with?
I like people to have a minimum of 50,000 liquid capital.
Okay.
And that you're still going to need a little bit more. I think, finance on top of that. Typical investments that I work with, on average, I would say are somewhere in the 200,000 to 400,000 total investment range. Mm-hmm. And you need probably about 25% of that out of pocket. That's your skin in the game. And then that, 75 to 80% is financeable, assuming you have good credit. It can qualify for an SBA loan. You can also use, many of my clients actually go this route, the 401k rollover. So you can use retirement funds to invest in a new business with no tax and no penalty.
Oh, wow.
I know it's been around since 1979, but nobody knows about it.
So tell a little bit more. So even if someone has a 401k, they still want to keep their business, like they said, maybe have some side hustle of a franchise, they can take out of their 401k and roll it into that?
That's the one situation where you can't. So you if you're still
Okay.
employed at where your 401k is held, or you cannot use that.
Got it.
But if you've been laid off, or you've transitioned, or you have a 401k from an older company, that can be used.
Wonderful.
But it can't be with the current company you're with.
Great clarification question on that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that.
So what about high-end ticket franchises? What are some, like, I guess I'm thinking McDonald's would probably be a high-end franchise as far as the costs go,
They're
but
$1 million plus. Yeah.
$1 million plus, but are there ones that are even more than McDonald's?
Oh yeah, like hotels and different. We don't typically work with those, and that's not the client that we typically see. But there are some things that are, Dogtopia places, like kennels, dog daycare type of places. Those are large facilities, so those are probably close to the $1 million investment range. Some laundromat type of things.
Laundromats are a big one.
Yeah, but they're expensive because you have a lot of equipment, big space.
But you're going to have low labor costs.
Yes.
How
You got
about like
machines.
coffee shops? I'm seeing like Dutch Brothers, and they have small footprints, and sometimes they're inhabited with like car washes, or have y'all seen the Dutch Brothers? How small their little footprint is?
Yeah.
That building is tiny.
Well, and you probably need maybe 2 to 3 employees at a time
Right.
that are doing that there. And kids kind of like to work in the barista.
They do.
stuff.
Yeah. So what about coffee shops? Those little tiny footprint coffee shops. Are those hot right now?
They are. Something like a Dutch Brothers, I think, would be a little bit higher on the investment because they build the full building. I mean, you're building a building with a drive-through, whereas there are some others. If you're in a strip center type location, where you're just leasing a vanilla shell, 1,200, 1,600 square feet, that could be a much lower investment, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yes.
just get it on the end so you can put a drive-through in or something, right?
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
slick.
With so many options, how many options do you provide to make sure that you're not spending too much time with someone on making a decision?
Well, I think that's where that consultation you have,
Yeah.
you sit down, and that's what I love about what you're doing there, because you're going to make it so nobody's wasting their time by
Right.
having this screening call or these sessions where you're figuring out what do you like? Do you like sales?
Well, I think we reverse engineer the process
There you go.
instead of saying, I want that,
Right.
let's figure out who you are and what you're good at and what you're not good at and what you can afford and what you can't afford. And then let's look at those. Let's not look at everything out there that's not available to you. So it is kind of a reverse engineering the process and narrowing it down from the beginning. And then let's only look at the things that are viable.
I love
That
that.
they're able to
Matchmaking.
afford too.
Matchmaking, absolutely. I think that's
eHarmony of
brilliant.
franchising, somebody told me we were.
Well, I like this too. So people will spend here in San Antonio, your average house is between probably $250,000 and $400,000. I mean, you're right in there anyway.
Or more.
Or more, yeah, to get a decent house in a decent neighborhood. And they get a realtor that's may or may not be really paying attention, but they're making a $400,000 investment. Here you're getting, this is just so much better than that type of situation.
Well, in a business too, I think people don't often see it this way. A business is an investment. I mean, just like you have your investments in the market, a business is an investment in yourself. I mean, you're hoping that investment grows just like your money in the market grows. So, I mean, I would never advise somebody to take their whole 401k and invest in a business. That's crazy. But if you diversify, keep some in the market, put some in a business that you're hoping to grow to 2 to 6 times net or whatever it might be over the time, but you're also taking a salary that full time, and then you have equity that you build that you can sell and put in your pocket. I mean, it's an investment. And I think a lot of people don't see it that way. You're not buying a job. You shouldn't be buying a job. If you did, you bought the wrong business. But it's equity.
But that's what so many people
They do.
Right.
They're like, they're going to start a handyman franchise because they want to be the handyman. And it's like, you've got to be kidding me. It's like, that works for a little bit, but we should always be looking to grow ourselves
That's
out
a
of the
great
job.
point, too, because I used to own 3 handyman franchises. That was one of my other businesses. But that's another misperception that people think, well, I don't know that business, so I can't do it. That's where the franchise comes in. They can teach you the details of that specific business. Hair salons. I don't do hair. I honestly don't want to touch anybody's hair, if you want the truth. I owned handyman franchises. I'm not a handyman. That's not my role as the owner of the business. The E-Myth. I'm sure you've all heard of that book.
Yeah.
Michael Gerber. It's you work on it, not in it.
Yeah.
You work on it and you hire the people to work in it. So the hair salons, I worked on it. I hired the skill. The handyman business, I worked on it. I got the phone to ring, but I hired the skill to work in it.
Let's take that a step further, because I actually like the idea of stacking a bit too. So like me, I started a staffing company, not because I want to do staffing stuff. I think it's a fantastic concept, but it also allows me to get low-cost labor for other things I want to do. So like in a franchise, like get a handyman or some kind of renovation, that could be a stepping stone to real estate investing, flipping homes. So now, you know what I mean? So now you're
Yes.
hiring these different pieces of it, just like, realtors get involved in real estate investing because they save that 3% or whatever it is on, which that adds up to be a lot of money. So this idea of stacking things in, especially if somebody's going to get started with a 20-hour-a-week franchise, that could be something that stacks in maybe where they want to go when they leave their
Absolutely.
job.
Yeah.
So I like thinking a couple steps ahead.
And
there,
flipping
but-
homes. We buy ugly houses. That's a franchise.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is.
There's something for everything.
You know, Airbnb and VBRO, all these different sites, they're pretty hot right now. So I'm assuming there might be franchise
There
opportunities
absolutely
for
are.
cleaning, maintenance,
There's franchise opportunities for the property
for
management.
property management.
Absolutely.
Right.
See, that for somebody who's got 20, Airbnbs in the same city,
Right?
same area, right? That would be a great thing to do, is look at getting a franchise of a cleaning company. They can take it. Now you're double dipping because you're hiring and you can maintain
Absolutely.
good quality, and feed that side of it.
So something that just like popped in my head as you were talking about, the average home price here in San Antonio is, what about negotiation? Are any of these franchises, like, is there room for negotiation? Are they set prices, these franchises, opportunities, or is there opportunity to negotiate?
Not a lot of room for negotiation on, you're going to pay a franchise fee, which is an upfront fee, your license fee. It's usually a 10-year license, and that's a one-time upfront fee. And then you pay royalties ongoing. So you pay a percentage of your gross sales back to the company for that continued support. Those two things are typically non-negotiable because they want everybody on the same playing field. If you pay this upfront fee and you get a lower royalty and this guy finds out about it, that doesn't bring happiness to the system. Then everybody's like, well, how come he got a better deal?
Right.
The things that are negotiable might be your territory,
Okay.
your boundaries. Maybe you get a little more house, a little bigger area, smaller, whatever it might be. So there are a few things in the agreement that are negotiable, but the franchise license fee and the royalties, I would say, are non-negotiable. And there are certain companies that just have a no negotiation rule. Like, hey, this is our agreement. Everybody signs the exact same agreement. Take it or leave it. So
Is
Good to know.
the success of that, is that also part of it as well? Like, are they measuring, these franchise owners' success, and are they kind of making sure that they hit a certain mark at a certain point? Like, is there kind of like a timeline that they're following to make sure that they're being successful in their area?
that's different for every company, honestly. Some are going to manage it more closely than others, but I would say the short answer is yes, that they want you to succeed. So the franchise industry is regulated by the Federal Trade Commission, and every franchise has to have, it's an FDD, a franchise disclosure document, and they have to be updated once a year. So every time you get one of those, it should be fairly current, fairly accurate information. There are 23 bullet points in the document. They're always in the same order, but they have to list every single franchisee in that system, name, address, and telephone number. So that's why if somebody is exploring that franchise, they can't just say, oh, go talk to these people because they're doing really well. You know what? Maybe you want to find somebody who's floating on the bottom and you want to talk to them. I advise my clients to do that. Absolutely talk to the most successful people, but then you also need to talk to somebody who's struggling. Why are they struggling? In addition to that, they have to provide a list of anybody who has left that franchise system within the last 12 months. They don't have to tell you why, but they give you their contact information. So then you can call them. Why did you leave? Did you sell it for $1 bazillion and now you live in the islands, or did you file bankruptcy and fail? So that's, again, part of the due diligence, part of the homework that someone needs to do when they're exploring a franchise, to hear the good, hear the bad, put yourself in the situation, and where do you think you're going to be?
And does that FTC report, does that give a success rate for different franchises in that?
In a sense, yeah. I mean, it does. They'll list several years of is the system growing or shrinking? Like how many have left during that year? How many have grown during that year? Are they net positive at the end of the year? Or are they net negative at the end of the year for numbers of units? So you can tell, are there more closing than there are opening? And then also item 19 is a very important of the 23 bullet points. Item 19 is what they call the earnings representation. And that's where they put numbers. They're not required to put numbers in there, but most franchises today, I would say, a very high percentage of franchises today will put numbers in there based on actual franchise units performance. And they can put it any way they want to put it. They can put average performing franchisees. I know some that put, okay, here's our people have been open, 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, 5+ years, and put their financials in there so you can get an idea. But then you also can get on the phone and call them and ask those questions.
Yeah, I like all that. You mentioned something about, did you sell it for $1 bazillion? So let's talk about an exit strategy, too. So I would imagine that not everybody comes with an exit strategy. Of course, it's always good to have one in mind. But do you see a lot of franchises being built up to a certain point and then sold? Is because some people just love the startup side. We just had somebody on the podcast a couple weeks ago. That was their whole thing. They just love doing startups. But do you see that quite a bit where you might be seeing the same kind of people buying maybe different franchises or whatever, building them up and selling them off as a strategy?
I don't know if I'd say quite a bit. We definitely see it. I've had clients who've come back to me and bought a second different concept. I've had a husband who came to me first, and then a couple of years later, his wife came to me and bought her own franchise, something else. We've seen some diversify, but there are people who do get into it to build equity and flip it. Their goal is to get in, build this thing, and then sell it in 3 or 4 years and move on to the next thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. You typically sign a 10-year agreement, a franchise agreement, but you're not locked into it for 10 years. That agreement is saleable, it's transferable, it's renewable at the end of 10 years if you want to stay longer. So it's your business. You can do with it what you choose.
Let's talk about what your fee is. How do you get paid? How does all that work? What's the person who comes to you? What can they expect to pay for the consultation services?
It's free. So it doesn't cost anything for somebody to work with me. We are compensated. It's like a realtor almost. We're compensated by the seller. So the franchisor, if I find somebody who invests in this particular franchise, they get a new franchise owner, they pay me a referral fee. So it's a win-win-win. If I help you find the right business, you win because you get your new business. The franchise company wins because they get a new owner to help grow their system. And I win because they pay me a fee for facilitating that match.
Love that. And really the last question off the top of my head was the legal side of it. So you're obviously not going to represent your client as an attorney would.
Correct.
Should people that are coming into the franchise world be should they have their own legal representation, or is this something that the franchise company is going to provide, which I know that's going to be a no, but how does that typically work?
It's something we provide. So we, not ourselves, but I can refer them to franchise attorneys, lenders as well. So we help our clients I work with many, many lenders who specialize in the franchise industry. So I can help connect people for different funding options. And on the legal side, I have a list of franchise attorneys that I refer people to as well. And I specifically say a franchise attorney, and I advise that. If you're looking at a franchise, with its FDD and it's its own little world. It's not like an independent business. So you need to find a franchise attorney who understands how to read that FDD document. Otherwise, your brother-in-law who's a business attorney, you may have to pay him to learn how to read that document. So get a franchise attorney, somebody who specializes in the industry. But we certainly help with that.
Yeah, because you got to know what to look for.
Yeah.
And there's going to be nuanced stuff, I would think, too. It's like, wait a minute, this doesn't quite sound right.
Well, and they're going to know what things might be negotiable or non-negotiable. They're knowledgeable in the industry, and it is kind of its own little world with its own little rules. So,
well done, Stacy. If folks want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
FranchiseMatchmakers.com is the easiest, or just Stacy at FranchiseMatchmakers.com is my email, and
any phone number?
303-887-8887.
Love it. All right. Well, thanks, Stacy. I really appreciate
you.
that. It was a great conversation. I learned quite a bit there.
Enjoyed it.
I learned a lot.
All right, as we wrap up the show, quick reminder, check out our latest podcast and catch video version of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. That's going to be it for this one. You guys have a great week. And you franchise seekers out there, give Stacy a call. Have a great week, guys. We'll see you on the next one.